Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Faith-Filled Moms. I'm your host, Tanya May Avent, and we're having a little bit of technical difficulties over here. but Miss Markeisha, I cannot unmute you. You are not here with me.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So can I just say, this is so indicative of how today has been going for me. And we talk about it all the time as far as opposition and things that happen. We can gauge, what kind of night it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Today's been a rough one.
Uh, I think this
Today,
week started off crazy.
yeah, it's been a rough one. So good things. My dad's birthday was today, so he turned
Oh,
76. My
Mardi
husband
Gras.
had his first playoff game and they won, so that's good. But my daughter's calling me at the birthday celebration, not feeling very well, throwing up. So, and she's, you know, she's called me. I'm like, Kennedy, I can't help you, and I have a show to get ready for. And, as a mom, you're like, you got to be there for your child, but I'm like, I can't do anything, so I'm just calling and making sure she's okay, and just
Oh,
yes. And then, we're working on we have good news. We have our Faith-Filled Moms website that we're going to be publishing
yes.
tonight, finally. But that was another
Yes.
thing, kind of working on like a crazy woman over the weekend.
Yes. It looks
And
good.
and then this lovely book that I have not promoted 1 ounce that came
Oh,
out
you
last week.
promoted last week.
I know, and I have the
Yeah.
marketing people calling me like, "Yeah, you're supposed to be marketing." And I just I don't
Oh.
have anything on my website or anything. So I do want to read a snippet tonight because I
Oh.
thought it was very apropos for our topic. And first of all, let me just say welcome to everyone. You have to
Yes,
bear
I
with us
see on
tonight
there.
because
Hmm.
you have to bear
I
with
was
us
like,
tonight.
this Carmen. Hey, girl.
Hey,
It's
girl.
like, dear Miss Elaine. Hey, hey, so about
How
Tamika.
are you? Thank you for joining us.
No,
We
sweet. They didn't
we
even put the
appreciate
banner
you.
up.
Yes. See, we're all out. We don't have a banner up. We're just so this is a mom's night in where we sometimes we come and we need support. I need your support tonight. I need everybody's support
All
tonight
hands on
because it's
deck.
already a hard topic that we're discussing. And so I'm dealing with that and trying to make sure I'm, managing it the right way and
Mhm.
addressing the evening the right way. And it's a weight. It's a weight on my shoulder and then try to do everything else. So y'all pray for me tonight. I need everyone's prayers. Pray for
Yeah.
our guest April. She needs your prayers too. But it's based, like I said, based upon what we have been going through. I know it's going to be a good night. When I finished reading her story, I was like, I need to publish this. I want a button that I could push right now that sends this out to the whole world. It is Her
Mm,
story is just that amazing. So I can't
I
wait to
I
bring her out to
haven't.
talk.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to reading it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like when I saw the flyer
Mm-hmm.
picture of its sweet face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one.
Yeah.
This
So
is
Anne put a nice comment. Usually I pray before I interview, but you're right. We're going to pray right now. We're going to
yeah.
pray
There you go. And
before
yeah, because we
we
sit
get
there like
started.
this is so. Oh my God, what should we do? And pray.
Let's pray. So let me go ahead. Dear Heavenly Father, gracious God, we thank you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this night. We thank you just for this series, God. We know that a lot of us are hurting, especially the moms that we have here that have gone through and have a story to tell and have your glory to tell, but are still going through their own grieving process. We know grieving never ends. And we know there's people watching tonight live and even in the future who are grieving, who need to hear a word from April and from our other guests this month. So we just invite you in. We pray that this whole series is blessed. Just be with us, be with me. And just give me the wisdom of how to lead every discussion, that you would get the glory. So we just invite you in, and we do give you all the glory, honor, and praise tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's get started. So I'm gonna read this real quick, just to set the tone, and then I'm gonna bring April out, and we will get started. So this is from, again, Grieving, Loss, and Healing, 101 Stories of Comfort and Moving Forward. And I will make sure somehow, some way this week, I'll put it on the website to make sure anybody that wants to purchase it can get it. But I did contribute on here a story about my brother. And my mom is our guest next week. So that,
nice.
obviously that's her son and her child, and she's going to be telling her story. But
Hmm.
that the book was my story. But there's different stories in here. But one of the ones in the first section is called "Oh How It Hurts,"
Mm.
and the story is called "Writing Through the Aftermath." And I thought there was a very interesting line in here that I wanted to read. Because when a woman loses her spouse, she is a widow. When a husband loses his wife, he is a widower. When a child loses his parents, that child is an orphan. But what are we? What's the word for a mother and father whose child has died? Why is there not even a name for people like us?
Mm.
That question still lingers, hovering nearby. What are we now? Is it established taboo not to say aloud what a grieving parent becomes? But one fact persists: we are the bereaved, and the degree of our grief remains nameless. That's deep.
That is deep.
That's
Yeah.
deep. So, and so I'm, like I said, I'm getting into that, and I am going to give each guest. I'm going to give each guest a book as well. Just to, my mom's been reading hers. I did give her hers already, and so I
Oh,
just want to
that's
make sure I
great.
give. Yeah, just you never know, any little thing that somebody can read to help them along their journey. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm going to say goodbye to you. You're going to go backstage and do what you do. I
Yeah,
appreciate
get my
you.
tissues ready.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to bring Miss April out. Bye,
Yes. Bye,
Markeisha.
everybody.
All right. Hello, April. How are you today? And I can't hear you. So let me make sure you're all okay. Say it again for me. You may need to take yourself off. I think there's something going on. There you go. So again, we're struggling with technology today. I don't know what the deal is, but thank you for being
You're
here.
welcome. You're
My
welcome.
beautiful Soar, another Soar of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority
Yes.
Incorporated, and my friend. And I just want to welcome you and say thank you for being here with us tonight.
Actually, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. So what I'm going to do first is just ask you to just do a really, really quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll get started getting to know you a little bit better. Okay.
Okay. My name is April.
Mhm.
um,
April, you went mute on us again. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, it went mute.
okay, I think I know. It's the mic that's selected. No, no, on my computer. I don't know which one.
I can hear you now though, but yeah, just I'll
Yeah.
let you know if it happens again.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know. I am a teacher. I am a therapist, mental health therapist. I work with children. I teach high school, grades 9 through 12.
Call your school out. Call your school out.
Lindenwood High School.
Yes. My mom taught there. My mom
Uh,
retired from there. Mhm. My
yes,
sister
I
teaches
know.
at Linda Well
Yes,
too.
I know your mom. I worked with your mom. I worked with your sister. So
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Actually, the connection, and it's interesting that I probably met you but didn't recognize that I met you
Hmm.
because your family did my son's funeral and my mother's funeral.
Well, I remember when Kenny was telling me he was going to a funeral of a basketball player. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know because I didn't, I, like I said, didn't know who you were. But I just
Right.
remember him saying, and he came back and was like, there were so many people there and all these kids got saved. Like I literally, and he's going to, unfortunately, he's going through to a number of funerals of people he's
Mm-hmm.
known through the basketball world. But that's one that has always stuck out because he always said it was just how many people were there
Yeah.
and just all the young people that had gotten saved. So it was just, and I know we're going to get into it. I don't want to jump ahead
Yes.
and
No, that's okay.
tell your story, but yeah,
That's
I
okay.
just remember that sticks out. And then
Yeah.
when I met you, I'm like, that's the young
Right.
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I saw your last name, it kind of glimpsed over. But then I saw some pictures. I was like, that's who that is. Like, there we go.
So we're
Yeah. So
connected already, but yeah,
yes,
we're really connected
absolutely.
now. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And tell us a little bit about the foundation that you started, please.
In 2011, we started the B-Ball for Life Foundation
Mhm.
Incorporated. It is a 501c3. It was, the motivation behind it was we wanted to do for others what we would have done for Will. And,
Mhm.
we did a lot of training, took him to different places to train, showcases. But he was also a student, a very good student. So we offer scholarships every other year starting in 2013. So on the odd years, we offer scholarships to seniors who are graduating, who are going on to four-year universities.
Mhm.
They do not have to be playing sports in college, but they have to have played sports in high school and had at least a 3.0 GPA.
Okay.
They are awarded at least $1,000 And sometimes we have laptops to give away and things like that. So we do our best to, give them, a little head start. And on the even years, we donate money to various organizations who work with families and children who have pediatric cancers. We also donate money for research on pediatric cancer. Actually, starting sometime tomorrow, maybe Thursday, we have a campaign going off called the I Will campaign. And this, yes,
I like that.
And the campaign will be for a month. And we're asking people to, Will's number was 5. So we're asking people to donate $5.
Wow. Okay.
And to make a pledge that they will do 5 things that Will would do. Be kind, to help others, to be compassionate, stop hate. And I forgot what the 5th one was, but it's 5 things, and it's going to be on our website.
Okay.
But we're asking people to make that pledge, that you're going to do what he would do. And we're asking people to send us pictures with their 5s up. We do like this with their 5s up, or with, we're going to be selling t-shirts as well. So with the t-shirt, the I Will t-shirt on, if they purchase a t-shirt, or actually doing something that shows one of the 5 traits that we, so yeah.
That.
And we're going to do it for 30 days. And, really it's just about, getting people moving and motivated to, understand that they can, and that, they have to take accountability and responsibility, saying, I will do these things. And, it just reminds us of him and the kind of kid he was.
I love that. I love how you continue to keep his memory alive. I remember even going to a banquet a couple of years ago, when you're honoring people in the community, you're honoring people that are doing good in the community. So there's so much that you're doing in his name. That's amazing. We do need a hashtag. We got to get a hashtag so we can post on our social media for that too. So yes, we're gonna. I love that. That is amazing.
I will. Yes.
Well, thank you. So beballforlife.org. Please take that down, and we'll be making sure we'll post it on all of our social media as well. All right, April, we're going to get into a little get to know you time now. So the first thing I'm going to do is, usually we'll do this or that, but I'm going to do a would you rather. I think I might get to know you a little bit better with it. Would you rather? So and those that are watching, yes, please feel free to put your answers in the comments section. So the first one, would you rather walk on a beach or walk in a rainforest?
I would say a beach, just because I love the heat. I love it hot. So I would say the beach.
Yeah, I think I prefer the beach just because the water is so relaxing to me. But I just feel like in a rainforest, I would be seeing so much cool stuff. I will be a little bit scared though too. I'd be a little scared of, creepy crawlies. But I just feel like I want to do like the envelope and the canopy and all those, just how the rainforest, amazing things in the rainforest. So. Okay, next question. Would you road trip across country in a car or by train?
By train, absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely.
Now
tell me why. Why do you prefer the train over the car?
One, I can't sit that long, so I would need to get up and move around. But I think that the less stress of having to actually drive in traffic and cars, and sitting on a train, you can be really relaxed and enjoy the scenery. And I think you get to, because of the route that the train travels, not highway, you know what I mean? You can really get a chance to see the country. See different parts.
We're kind of split on this question. The first question was beach, but we're kind of split between Tamika says train and Tiffany says car. I say car too. And I want to do a train, but I'm one who, every point of interest, my family hates it, but I got to stop. Like, ooh, I remember one time we were traveling and the Antietam battlefield was there. We went to, I'm like, we have to go see this. We were 4 hours late. We got to our hotel 2:00 in the morning, but it was just like, how often? So if I see something, I like the car because I like to pull over and just see sights.
Yeah, if I was in an RV, I would do that.
We got minivans.
Yes, me and my youngest son, we said we want to take we are foodies, and we want to get Guy Fieri's book on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and kind of get an RV and do that tour, like tour the country based on where these
making the stops, right?
Yeah, because we think we would see a lot, but I would have to do it in an RV so that I could rest and he could drive. And,
Got it.
That kind of thing.
Got it. That's a good idea. I like it. Okay, next one. Would you rather cook a 4-course meal or bake a dessert, a table of desserts?
Whoa, that's hard because
I
I
didn't
love
know
to,
which one. I didn't know. Like,
I love to cook either way.
hmm
Um, Ooh, that is hard. That's a really hard one. I've been doing a lot more cooking lately, but I would have to say bake. I would have to say
Okay.
bake. Yeah.
Okay.
During the Christmas holiday, I bake an insane
Do
amount
you
of
really? Why didn't I know
cookies and
this?
stuff. Yeah. Well, it started with my brother-in-law. One Christmas, I just didn't have the money to buy him a gift,
hmm
and he was like, "Oh, just bake me some cookies." So I baked him some cookies. He loved the cookies. So every Christmas, I bake about 2 dozen cookies for him.
Wow.
Well, 2 years ago, he wasn't going to be home. My nephew moved to North Carolina and he lives in Florida now. So I'm like, how am I going to, I don't want to send cookies to Florida. So I instead made 50 pounds of dessert and mailed it to,
50 pounds.
yes,
That's putting 50
50
pounds
pounds.
on his body.
Yeah. I mean, but the whole family was there. So I baked I
Okay.
baked like 10 different kinds of cookies, fudge,
Wow.
trifles. I made different hot cocoa mixes, So this year I scaled it down.
hmm
So only did, I think it was 20 pounds this year.
Only 20.
Only
Wow.
20. Yeah.
I'm gonna put an
So
order in next year. I'm gonna put my own order in. Shoot.
yeah. Well,
What's your favorite cookie? What's your favorite
um,
cookie to bake?
my favorite cookie to bake, I would have to say is the oatmeal raisin, because I use chocolate covered raisins. And
Hmm.
just the smell of the cinnamon with the chocolate, the smell of it is really good. It's a very easy cookie to make, but
hmm
I just like the smell of it. It makes it, but it's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite cookie to
I'm not a
bake.
fan of the oatmeal raisin though.
No,
If
I
that's
don't
the
eat
one,
that.
I'm just
Yeah, like I
but
don't
you like the
eat
smell?
them. I just like the smell of them.
Okay.
It
Okay.
makes the house smell so good. So I like
Got it. I love it. I love
that.
it. So we have some split here as well. 4-course meal and dessert. So all right, next question. Would you rather read a book or watch the movie instead?
Oh, read the book.
Okay. No comparison, right? No comparison. And the last one I have, would you rather watch a sunrise over the mountain or a sunset over the beach?
Oh, I would have to say, having been in Colorado, because my youngest
Mm-hmm.
son lives in I like the sunrise over the mountains.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
yeah,
too. There's that backdrop is, and I again, I love the beach. There's something about
yeah,
the beach, but yeah, seeing that background is just
yeah, yeah. It was
amazing.
amazing. The first time I got up early enough and stood on his balcony, and you can see the mountains. Because in Colorado, almost everywhere you can see the mountains, and
And those
seeing
mountains are
the
different than our mountains. We don't have those kind
exactly
of mountains on the
no,
East Coast.
and
Yeah, it's different.
seeing the sun come up was just absolutely
hmm
gorgeous. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
playing. Thank you. So Tamika and Tiffany are at odds. I think y'all had the opposite answers via everything. But thank you so much for playing along. I really appreciate it. So
Yes.
let's get into learning more about you.
Okay.
What is your favorite scripture and why?
I have to honestly say I don't have
Mm.
necessarily a favorite scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I feel like, at any given time, the word, it can mean different things to me. Like
Mm.
I need this word, and that's the one that I get. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily have one, but the one that's hanging on my door right now at my office, just talks about worrying about, praying about everything and worrying about nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
I put that on my door because oftentimes, you come into your office, it's about work
Yes.
and you're kind of stressing over what you have to do. But if you come in with the prayerful mind and the open heart, you don't have to stress because things will get done and it'll get done the way it's supposed to. So, that's the one that right now, guiding me and, just
That's
don't worry
probably
about
the
anything.
most. That's probably the most quoted out of our guests. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably been the most. Yep, Markeisha saying that was
Yeah.
hers as well. Like
Hers
remember
too.
she came, yep,
Yeah.
be careful for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and we've been saying it for the last couple of weeks that I've been calling it stress, worry. They're called wasted emotions. I'm like, you're wasting your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been saying to myself still, stop wasting your emotions. get over it. You gotta stop.
Yeah.
It's nothing's coming from it. Nothing
No.
comes from the worry, from the fear, from the stress. And
Nah,
so
yeah.
I'm just
And
wasting.
I've been teaching that to my students for the past couple weeks. We've been talking about, putting first things first, things being,
Yes.
your values and your standards, what's important. And today in particular, we talked about what stress and anxiety and those kind of things do to you. So, I've literally been working on just saying, that whole whatever, the
It's
shrug.
in his
Okay.
hand. I say it's
Yeah.
in his hands.
Yeah.
It's in his hands. That is my response. He has me. So stop worrying.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we're behind schedule, but I don't care. We may go over our time and it's quite okay because we're gonna do this our way tonight. What is your favorite book or a book that helped you get through just losing will and dealing with everything that came from that? Is there anything that you would recommend to other moms?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't think I read anything in particular that kind of helped me get through that. I think one thing that did help was really, and this may sound strange, but with him having cancer and not really knowing, it was so rare for him to get it and for children in general, that I did a lot of stuff on looking into my heritage and my history and my ancestry. And that really helped because, it's intriguing in finding out where you came from and where he came from. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, how could, because they don't know if it's genetic, they're not saying that it is. But, just thinking about, did anyone else in the family get this? Did anyone else had this? And trying to look back and see how people passed and, those kind of things. So that really helped me. I do read a lot of fact-based fiction. I like books where it's based in truth.
Sure.
But it's,
it's tweaked a little bit, right?
Tweaked, yes. So, so that's what I like to read in general.
Good. And my last question before we get into your story is, if I were to present you with a ticket to go anywhere around the world, round trip, where would you go and why?
I think I would go to Ireland. And I would go there because, again, studying my ancestry, my great-grandfather was not my great-great-grandmother was the granddaughter of a slave owner who owned, my family, my other half of my family.
Okay.
So I would definitely go to Ireland because she wasn't the norm. She was at a time when you don't stray. She moved off the plantation and married a Black Indian and had some kids and gave him her last name.
Wow.
And gave him her last name. Yeah. So, so she has some, so I would love to go back to where that family came from.
Okay. Nice. That's interesting. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for playing. I appreciate it. So we are going to get into your story. Markeisha, if you would be so kind to put our new website up. So I know every week we've been doing Destined for the Dove, but yay, it's in the initial stages. So just y'all bear with me. But faithfulmoms.org is up. And so we are going to publish April's blog there tomorrow morning. So if you have not, which you probably haven't because I just posted it, it just published today. So if you wouldn't mind going there and signing up for our email list, and you will get April's blog. I will still post it on Destined for the Dove. So if you're signed up there, you will get it. So for this month, I will post on both sites, but I'm actually going to take Destined for the Dove back. That was my original site. I have not posted a story in months. So there's some things that I need to start saying now along with my guests. So I'm going to break them up and have my moms on Faithful Moms, and I'm going to come back on Destined for the Dove and start blogging again regularly. So I'm excited about that. But please, I'm excited to just send out Faithful Moms. And then we also have a new support group in Facebook. So there's a Faithful Mom support group. If you put that in, it's a closed group, but it's just for us moms to stay together and stay connected and encourage each other. So please feel free to definitely go there. There's a link on the website for the Facebook page as well. All right. So April, your story. The first paragraph, I'm reading it. I'm like, oh gosh. I had to stop, just like I just did then. I had to stop and breathe. Like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to hold up anymore. I just want to jump right into your story. You shared on your blog about the day your son Will was born. God
Mhm.
spoke to you. You saw there was a bunch of people in the room, your nurse, your doctor, your family members, and he was being passed around, which because I was
I
like,
know.
where's my baby? Can y'all give me my baby? Because I know
Exactly.
your baby was, it was a couple of people before you got to it, but he was passed around to family, and you heard God speak to you. Talk
Yes.
about what he said, how you like. Just tell me tell us what happened.
Well, when he was born, and like Tanya was saying, he was passed around, and it's like you have the child, you're exhausted, and you're waiting for them to put him in your arms, and it was like,
And your first
okay,
child, right? Your
yes,
first
my
child
first
too.
child, and everybody else, and I heard God say in my ear, "He's not yours." And at first, I wasn't sure what I had heard, and then he said again, "He's not yours." And as I see him being passed, and he goes, they weigh him and they do all this stuff, and I'm just like, and I can't say it out loud. Like, I can't talk to God out loud. I'm in a room full of people, and for me, that's my moment. That's my time. So, and then he said, he belongs to everyone, and he said he won't be here long, and that really just, after the birth of your child, and someone tells you he's not yours, he belongs to everyone, and he's not going to be here long. And you're, and you kind of think maybe, you're going into some kind of, you're hallucinating, you're going into some depression. But once I held him, I knew it was true.
Wow.
I knew what God had said was true once I held him. And I kind of went into a funk, and I thought it was postpartum. But, when people talk about postpartum depression, they often mention the detachment, but it wasn't that. It was much more of a connection, and I held them really tight. But I believed it almost immediately. And I just had to, over time, you're asking, having him, getting him home, and, just looking at him. And I didn't know what God meant. I didn't know what he meant by not here long. I didn't know what he meant by not yours. But I had surgery soon after I had him, 6 weeks after. And he spent a lot of time with my in-laws and with other members of my family because I couldn't take care of him because I had surgery. So, I'm thinking, okay, that's what he meant. He's going to be with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you start trying to figure it out, and but none of it sat well with me. And I just knew, as time went on, what he meant.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think about that. And so you literally have to go through his life knowing.
Yes.
And you never said anything, right? You never
No.
told anyone this for the duration of his life. You never, not even your spouse, you never said anything. So you're having to deal with not knowing that you're not going to have him long. Share about how knowing what you knew about his future affected you over the years. And you talked about him not being in your presence, and just kind of how you dealt with that as he grew up, not, knowing that it would not be
I
long.
mean, at times it was scary because, when they're young, they're with you, or they're with someone who you trust. So you kind of don't worry so much at that time because they're going to take care of him. But as he got older and he wanted to go outside and play, you tend to watch a little bit more. You kind of not let him out of your sight. I mean, he wants to go with his friends. And I remember a time in the grocery store, he was, I had him next to me, my youngest in the cart, and, putting groceries, getting ready to pay. And I looked down and he wasn't next to me. And it was almost like a panic.
Yeah.
But then I turned around and he was, sitting there talking to someone, and he just was so friendly and so open, and made me worry that, someone would take him. He would get into an accident, whenever he left the house. Oh, I'm going to my friend's house. You call me when you get there. You call me when you're on your way back. All those kind of things, just really keeping tabs on him, because I didn't want, I mean, I didn't want it to happen when I wasn't there. I didn't want to be able to not get to him,
Right.
you know, whenever that time would come.
And you shared he was talking to someone in the grocery store. You talked even earlier in the show about the I will and just the 5 characteristic traits. So tell us about Wilmore. Tell us about the compassion, the care, and just how people were attracted. Talk about his life.
Yeah, he was he was one of those kids that smiled at everybody. He would stop and talk to you, help you. That one time in a grocery store, and I turned and he was sitting there talking to another kid. He said, "Hey, Mom, this is my new best friend," you know. And I'm like, "Hi, you just met him," you know, that kind of thing. But he was just really compassionate, and I didn't even know the extent of, you know, how open he was to people. When he was, I think it was first grade, one of the little girls in the class got sick. And, you know, at that time he was in the classroom and had the bathroom in the classroom. And he literally went in there. She was he pulled her hair back and he's patting her in the back, holding her hair, you know.
At 6 years old.
At 6 years old. Just very, you know, open and, you know, things to people. And people, some people took it really well. Other people didn't know how to take it. It was a little girl that he really liked, and he had wrote her a note and he told her he loved her, you know, whatever. Her parents were afraid, you know.
Really?
Yeah. He was in 4th grade. Her parents were afraid, you know, like, oh, what does he know about love? And, you know, they kind of sexualized that and made it something it wasn't. And the teacher wrote me a note, and I asked him, I sat him down and I asked him, so what do you mean by love? He said, Mom, she's so nice to me. And I love that she's nice to me. She's kind. And, you know, he just told me everything about this little girl that made him love her. And it had nothing to do with the way she looked. It had nothing to do with that. It was all about who she was on the inside. So I had to go into the teacher. I had to explain, you know, what he meant. And the teacher, you know, she never in her mind thought that way. But it was definitely a situation where we had to take him and say, you know, there are going to be people who don't understand this.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who don't get, you know, the unconditional love that you can give somebody you don't know. But that's just the kind of kid he was. He was not ashamed of God, of the gospel. He was not ashamed to pronounce his faith. I had never looked at his Facebook page. He was 15 years old. You know, I never looked at it, but he professed, big as day, I am a Christian, a child of God. Like, he was not afraid to say it, and people knew that about him. And after his passing, so many people came to us and told us different things, and you know, people from all walks of life. I'll never forget, at the funeral, there were 2 young ladies at the time who were lesbian, and they're hugging one. They were dressed in pants, you know, kind of a suit, but they were bawling. And I had to look, and I was to say, my son, you know, knew them. And then there's this big kid who was a wrestler, had to be almost 300 pounds, long stringy hair, big old beard. He was telling me, Will was my best friend. You know, it's just the different walks of life and the different people's lives that he touched.
Yes.
That we didn't realize, you know, right away. And then, you know, and just one more example. I remember after he had passed, we had gotten a lot of letters and notes that we never read when he was in the hospital.
Okay.
And I remember opening up in a box and looking through the letters. And it was a letter from a young lady. And this is when he was in hospital. She said, you know, I really want him to get well. She said, I don't know what I'm going to do without him. And she said, I never knew his name. She said, but every day walking in the hallway, he smiled at me and he said, hello. She said, she said, I felt invisible. And she said, I look forward to walking down that hall every day and seeing him, because nobody else saw me but him.
Except him.
Yeah. And she said, what am I going to do now? I remember what she said, who's going to see me now? Wow. I need him to get better. And, you know, things like that really touched me, because that's just who he was.
Yeah.
You know,
That's amazing. and it's just that story, the nameless person, like you're
Yeah.
still nameless, but you still made a difference in someone's life, and
Yeah.
they literally looked forward to seeing you.
Yeah. And nothing but his smile and a hello.
Mhm.
Nothing but his smile and a
Mhm.
hello. And that has
So
always touched
that
me.
was all he needed. That was all it was
Yeah, that's
needed.
all. And I try to teach my students the same thing. Like, it doesn't take anything to be kind.
Mhm.
Very small, very, like, all you have to do is smile. You never know. You could save someone's life. You
Yeah,
could save someone's life.
literally.
Just, you don't know what they're going through. When they came to school that day, you don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And just being kind, saying hello, acknowledging another person's existence.
And that doesn't even go for school. I've been trying to do that when I go to stores, wherever
Yes.
I'm at. You
Yes.
know, a lot of times we could be just self-centered and selfish. I'm in a rush or whatever, but I really try to make sure if I'm calling customer service, regardless of what it is, I want every interaction with me to be positive. I want
Yes.
that person to say, wow, she was really pleasant, or that was a pleasant experience. That was the best part of your day or the highlight of your day. I want that to be a high part of your day if everything else is going wrong for you.
Yeah.
That one part of the day.
Absolutely.
good for you.
And I live that, you never know. And I sometimes, it's just part of my personality, but sometimes I do it on purpose. Like, if the person in front of me was just rude to that
Yes,
cashier,
especially.
I step, how are you doing today?
Mhm.
I hope, and then when I walk away, I really pray that you have a better day. Like, your day goes,
Yeah.
and you can see them change, because I don't want the person behind me to have to experience what I
But you just
just,
had to.
right.
What
Yeah.
you just saw. Yeah.
I want them to have a better attitude for the next person coming. People hold the door open. People do different things. I'm overly, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I think I would like to think that it's rubbing off on my students. And, I'm a cheerleading coach, and the girls that I'm with, because I've had people say, I had one of the custodians at our school say, no one has ever, she said, I've been here over 20 years, and your girls were the only people in this building who stopped and said hello. They told me have a good night.
Wow.
And I, right after that, I praised them. And it's something that I constantly push in my own life. And I would like to think that, Will's, the way he was, lives on through me.
His legacy. It's his legacy. Yes.
Just
The legacy of
continuing.
kindness.
Yeah, continuing to do those things. Absolutely.
So let's chat about a little bit, and you can talk as much or little as you want about, the diagnosis and kind of just what happened from there. So you talked about in your story that he had a basketball tryout. He wasn't feeling well, but he had a basketball tryout. Talk about the tryout, the amazing tryout, and then kind of just what happened from there and taking us through.
So he had been trying out for different teams, and this is the team he really wanted to go on. It was in Winslow. And that day he got home from school, wasn't feeling his best. He took a nap, and he got something to eat. I was busy doing whatever I had to do. We got in the car, and he's like, Mom, I have a headache. I said, did you hydrate? Did you drink enough water? And, he's telling me what he ate, what he drank. I said, well, we don't have to do this. You don't have to go to this tryout. He's like, no, Mom, I want to do it. I really want to be on this team. I'll be okay. He said, afterwards, I'll eat again and I'll go to bed. Okay. We get to the tryout. And in 2 hours, he did not miss one shot. In 2 hours. He even played the coach one-on-one and beat the coach. It was amazing. And it was interesting because I'm sitting in the stands and I'm talking to another mom and I'm watching him and we're talking. And she said, I don't think he's missed a shot. I don't think he's missed a shot yet. So we started paying more attention. And he did not miss a shot in 2 hours. And then afterward, we went home. He didn't feel well. I said, look, if you don't feel good in the morning, I'm going to call the doctor and have your dad take you to the doctors. And he said, okay. So I got up in the morning. I got him up, got his brother up. And I looked him in the face. I looked in his eyes and I could see pain. And I'd never seen that before. He's had headaches before, but I saw pain. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to work, but I'm going to call the doctor, make an appointment. And I told my husband, you got to take him to the doctor. My husband worked from home, because you got to take him to the doctor. He's in pain. He's not going to school today. So I went off to work. I called, made him an appointment. And I get home, and they're not here yet, and I'm waiting. His brother's still at school, and I got a call. Well, before that, I was just thinking, you know what, God, I started having that conversation. I'm like, this isn't it. This isn't it. He's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Kind of rationalizing. But then my husband called me, and he said, we got to the doctors. The doctor examined him. The doctor made a point to say he's been coming to see me for a year. We can't figure it out what's wrong with him. He's had all kinds of tests. I'm sending him for an MRI. So the doctor sent him for an MRI. My husband took him to the MRI. Then they went back to the doctor's office. They get back to the doctor's office. The doctor calls him back, and he says, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but we found some lesions on his brain. And they didn't neither one of them kind of understood what that meant. It's like, what does that mean? And he said, so I'm going to send you over to CHOP. He said, I already called my friend who's a neurosurgeon over there.
That's Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, yeah, I'm sorry. And he said, we're going to, I'm getting you the best. We're going to get you over there. So they go out. My husband takes him out to Wendy's to eat. And he's telling my husband, Dad, whatever this is, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to be okay. He's sad. He's upset. He's angry. But he's like, this is not going to kill me. Like, he was determined, this is not going to kill me. But, well, of course, when my husband calls me, he's crying. He's upset. And I'm like, okay. All right, just let me know, when you're getting home, because Aaron's coming home, and I got to make sure he's, I hung up that phone, and me and God had it out. I said, I'm pacing back and forth. I'm screaming and yelling. And I'm like, God, why this way? Why are you going to make him suffer? This is not right. This is not how it should be. And then I said, well, maybe this isn't it. Maybe this isn't it. Maybe this is a test. But I knew that this was it.
All the time.
And I just was like, God, how could you do this? It shouldn't happen this way. It shouldn't happen this way. He shouldn't suffer. And it was just, it was a blow, because I would have, it's like almost I would have rather an accident or, something else, but that, I'm like, he doesn't deserve to suffer. This is not right. And my mother had just been diagnosed with throat cancer the December before. He was diagnosed in March. So, I'm thinking, I got to tell the family. I got to tell my mother. We had just lost we were on the tail end of a 3-year. It was the second year in, and we had already lost 4 people
in the family.
And we were, and after losing him, it was a total of 8 people in 3 years.
Wow.
And so we were in the middle of that. And, and so we took him over to Philly, did another MRI, did all these tests. And they said, the surgeon came in and said, he has a tumor on his brain. It's the size of, what did he say? A size of a walnut. And he said, so he asked us about some other things. He said, has he been, losing his memory? Has he had problems with his vision and all these things? And so you start sitting there thinking, yeah, he got he got glasses. His memory, we studied a little harder. It's nothing that we felt was out of the ordinary. We had been taking him to the doctor. He had back pain, like all the things the doctor had. We thought about everything we did,
but everything was cleared. Nothing was ever
nothing. And then this, so we never wanted to cry in front of him, never show emotion. He never really cried. He cried, but not really. Very, and I don't want to say stoic, but very determined, in how he, things happen. It was a Friday. He was going to have surgery on Monday. And so we had to call the family. We had to tell everybody what was going on. And I remember he was in the bath. My husband took him in the bathroom. My husband cuts hair. So took him in the bathroom and he was cutting his hair. Now my husband cut his hair from the time he was 1 year old, like his first haircut. And it was different.
Wow.
It was different for him, cutting his hair, knowing, is why he's cutting his hair.
Yeah.
And they both cried. They both cried. It was just different. And we, he had the surgery that Monday, and, it was 7 weeks exactly from diagnosis to death. And he never picked up another basketball.
So that one last tryout that he had a perfect. What's his last time holding the ball? Last time. And we didn't say that earlier, but so Will loved the basketball. For those that if it wasn't clear, you'll see in her story that was his passion.
Life, his passion. He started one-on-one training with a coach when he was in 4th grade, and so this kid, like, he would go to school. He would get up in the morning at 4:30 in the morning, go outside, dribble up and down the street, come back in the house, get dressed, eat his breakfast, go to school, have practice after school, and then we would go to training, and then we would drive him oftentimes with at least a half an hour. In the last year of his life, we drove him to Neptune, New Jersey, for practice on another team, and then he was in the back of the van with a little light on doing his homework.
Wow.
And he would never go to bed without his homework done. He getting good grade. He wanted, like, how kids dream of going to the NBA. That wasn't his dream. It wasn't his dream. His dream was to play college basketball. He wanted to go to college. He wanted to get that education. Wow. He wanted to play on the college level. And we would talk, something we would talk about. Would you be one and done? Would you be, he's like, no. I want, he wanted to play.
Get his degree. He's using basketball to get his degree.
His degree, exactly. He wanted to go to Georgetown. He wanted to play. He wanted to play for John Thompson. That was his dream. To play where Iverson played. So he definitely, of course he hoped, every kid play basketball. You want to go to NBA, but that wasn't his main focus. It was, I want to go to college. I want to play college basketball. So that was really, really deep, for me. That was really, and as an educator, like, yes, you want them to get, and I didn't have to push them, it wasn't like, you're going to go to college. It was, Mom, I'm going to college. Like, this is what I want to do.
That's what he was saying, not you trying to tell him that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So you shared you really had it out with God after Will passed, right? You mentioned, why did it have to be this way? Why did he have to suffer? Why did I only get 15 years? And how did you come to resolve? Maybe you haven't. Have you come to resolve? If so, how? And then how has your relationship with God changed because of that?
I don't think I've come to any kind of resolution, but I don't think that's for me to do.
Yeah.
God, you know how your parents say, well, I said what I said, just because I said so. And that's what God said to me. I don't have to give you any answers. It's because I said so. So there's no there's no resolve in that. But I did resign myself to knowing that questioning God is not going to give me an answer. It's not going to do that. Instead, I have to look at what was left, what I was to learn from that, what was God trying to get me to see, to teach me. And that's, if it's any resolution, that's what I got from it.
Okay.
My relationship with God is different in that I rely so much more on him for everything.
Mm-hmm.
People say, oh, I don't know what I would do. Well, I knew what I needed to do. It was all, you know what I'm saying? Like I say it all the time. If it was up to me, I would be in a corner blubbering, I would be a mess. But I gave it over to God because God told me. And I think in telling me that he was going to take him, gave me some, I don't know, comfort, knowing that when he was gone, where he was going.
Where he was going to be. Mm-hmm.
Right. So
he is mine. He is mine.
Right.
That.
Yeah. So I can't be, it's like you can't be too mad, and I was upset because for selfish reasons. And I think I knew that. So I was mad because I wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him here. But God told me from the beginning, he's not yours. So, once I accepted that he was not mine, that he belonged to God, and I was there witnessing this for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he was gone, I like there was nothing else. And I think that people saw me and may have thought, oh, she's so strong. But in that time, it wasn't me. The Holy Spirit was holding me up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It wasn't me. It was an out-of-body experience, So my relationship with God is one that's so deep and so different. The conversations I have with him, it's not, people hear this thing, they're like, oh, when you talk to God, it's not like that. It's just that when I have conversations with him, I am looking, or I'm searching to hear him in whatever way he speaks to me.
Right.
Because I feel like you talked to me before, and we've talked many times, but you share something with me that I don't know if he's ever shared with other people. Has he ever said to someone, at that time when they're very vulnerable, I'm taking something from you?
Yeah.
You
went off again.
I don't know why all of a sudden it's done.
Because you're preaching the word and people are getting healed and lives are being changed and enemies mad. So, but keep going.
Yeah, so I don't question. Mm-hmm. And when I do get sad and I think about him and go through those moments of grief, I go back to what I know. I pray for comfort.
Yeah.
And, so when people are going through and people are talking about their loss, I always pray for their comfort, not for answers, not for you to feel better, not for you to get over it, but for comfort to get through what this trial, this tribulation. And, I don't believe that, people, say, oh, well, you're going through this storm to get on the other side. On the other side, there's another storm.
Yeah.
It just looks different. So I believe, I just rely on him. So my relationship is a dependent one.
Yeah.
It's a dependent one.
You said something interesting, how you now pray for someone's comfort and for their peace. And that may not have been the way you prayed for someone before Will passed. And so one of the things I want to talk about is maybe some of the insensitive comments that you have received, because I like this to be educational as well. So I want to talk about some of the things that you've heard that are not helpful, that should not be said to moms who have lost a child. Maybe some things that can be said or should be said. So educate us on, from your point of view, and any mom you ask will have a different answer, but from your point of view, what are things that should not be said that you've heard? What are things that should be said? How do you provide comfort to your loved ones or your friends that have lost someone?
Well, people, I have to understand that people who haven't had loss or haven't had loss like I had loss, everybody deals with it differently. So a lot of times people don't know what to say. So they may say, I'm praying, I'm praying for you, or God, this happened for a reason. God has another angel. One I used to get all the time. God has another player on his team, is another, and at first it just kind of struck me, but at some point I just would tell people, thank you, because I believe a lot of times they were sincere. Thank you for, your sentiments, or thank you for what you said. I appreciate, that you're trying to comfort me, and then just kind of reword what they say to let them know that what they said really wasn't helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that, you that God has, God has him back, but I really would like him to be here with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of just let them know that, what they said really didn't help, but things that you can say is that, I pray that that you get comfort. I pray that God wraps you in his arms, and I pray that, that out of this, that you will have a better relationship with God. It's not like you can't even say out of this, I hope there's a blessing. I didn't get a, there's nothing. But if there's anything that comes from this, I hope you have a better relationship with God.
Yeah.
I hope that some good things, your relationships with your family increase. Anything like that. That was helpful to me. But the people trying to comfort you by saying this happened for a reason, or, God has another one on his team, or you have an angel watching over you. God got enough angels. That was my thought. He got he got legions. He didn't need my one.
Son.
He didn't need one
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I understood what they were saying. You know what I mean? Like, I understood that. So I would say I appreciate, the sentiment. I appreciate what you're saying, but, I would rather have him here.
Yeah.
And just to let some, people know. And again, I don't think it was anybody ever said anything out of malice. But, as they would say, someone just said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And, the idea that if you really don't know what to say,
don't say anything at all.
Don't say anything. Just come up alongside someone.
And listen.
Arm, listen. Yeah. Put an arm around them. Hold their hand. I'm big on, food. People coming around after it's all over. The days and weeks and months.
The months years, later, right?
The months and years later, people still calling on you. We had a friend. She had she paid for a cleaning service to come and clean the house. One of our sorority sisters, one of my big sisters, came and had someone clean the house. And I mean, we had neighbors bring us food, and we had food for months. And it was nice in those moments when you just feel like you couldn't do anything else, that it was done. Yeah. You could just go in the freezer, pop it in, and then, those people who come and spend time with Aaron, he lost his best friend. And for people to come and spend time with him and take him out and, do things with him that Will would have did with him, that was huge. So, people had to recognize it's not always, you don't always have to say anything.
Yeah.
What did they say? Love is an action word. It's a verb. So, showing someone love is much more valuable.
Yeah, than trying to find the right words to say.
Yeah.
So we touched upon it earlier, but one of the most amazing things about Will's story is what happened at his funeral. Can you talk about that experience, those, and you touched upon it, the different people that you saw there, but talk about how his funeral showed you purpose in everything that was happening, through his death.
Yeah. When we didn't know how he was going to be, how the community was going to be affected. But as soon as he had passed and the word got out, students from the school that organized the fundraiser, the school I was working at in Lindwall, I was at the middle school at the time. But I had been at the high school. So the high school organized the fundraiser, and just the outpouring. So when we were planning his funeral, our pastor was like, I really want to do something with the young people. He was one of them. And, and we were kind of skeptical because we didn't really know. A lot of kids knew him. So we were like, okay. We got there, of course, and people started to file in. I had never seen so many young people. It was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it is. I consider myself a very empathic person. Like I can feel, and it was oppressive, not in a negative way, but that feeling and emotion was oppressive. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I didn't sit in the front row, and the reason why is because I didn't want. I'm not really that big of a touchy feely person. I am with people that I know and that I'm really close to. I didn't want a lot of people hugging me and grabbing my hands and stuff. So I sat in the front row for a while, and then I moved back like a row or two. I was talking to someone, and the pastor started preaching, and Aaron got up on a pulpit and talked. Well, first of all, Will's friends, he called his brothers. They all got up together, and they stood up and they said something. Then Aaron, you know how the pastor sometimes he doesn't want people up on a pulpit. He'll have like a little lectern on the side. Stand. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Aaron wasn't having that. He went up, got
front and center, front and center,
and he made everybody laugh and feel relaxed, and and he just expressed something that if you knew Aaron at the time was not like him at all. He was a very quiet kid, but there was a youth choir singing. It was just so filled with youth. And then at one point, the pastor came down. He grabbed my hand. He said, stand up. He said, I want you to turn around and see this. And I did a total 360, and I could not help but break out in tears. Mm-hmm. So many kids. And then after that, he started calling people, to the altar, anybody who wanted to be saved. And kid after kid after kid walked up. There was 82 souls were saved. And I can't even tell you, I can't muster up the words for the emotions I felt at that time. And I realized at that time that I was witnessing what God had placed him there for. Uh-huh. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. Like, you don't get to see that. You know what I mean? I saw his purpose. And again, one of those things that you talk about resolution, one of those things that make you, that humble you and kind of make you say, look at God.
Yeah. Nothing but, yeah.
And so it was just really deep. And it's like, and it was weird because after, we were following the casket out, it was like a celebrity funeral. And they wind up we didn't even have a repast that night. Mm-hmm. They had a repast specifically for the kids. They had it in the whole, we had just built the new gym. They had a repast just for the kids.
And you don't hear that. You don't see that. Yeah. That's,
the family,
so impactful.
Right. Everybody went back to, like, my family went back to my house, but all the kids, all the people, they had a repast just for the kids. There was an overflow at a funeral. Our gym had kids in it. It was just
celebrating his life.
Yeah. Celebrating his life. Yeah. And it was just something that was remarkable. But again, those kinds of things like that, it humbles you and it makes you're in awe of God. And that's why I say, it wasn't me. You know what I mean? It wasn't me. Mm-hmm. The Holy Spirit was walking for me and talking for me and thinking for me, because it was an out-of-body experience as I watched this, and I wanted to be hysterical. That was my child. I wanted to fall all over the casket. I wanted to do those things. But nobody did. Nobody made a spectacle. Because it wasn't their moment, it was God's moment.
Yes. Goodness.
So, it was just, And that's why, you know, and I guess that's why it's like, you know, you want to be mad. You want to say, you know, God, why did you do that?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you can't be.
yeah.
You can't be.
Not after that. Not after that experience. No.
Yeah, the glory was where it was supposed to be. You know, so
Wow.
yeah.
So this is my last question for you. And I don't even want to stop, but I know it's getting it's getting late. And I didn't even want to cry. I'm like, oh, just want to talk about how you are now. Like, and I hate to say new normal. But in terms of that,
Yeah.
what does life now that Will is no longer here on Earth look like for you? What did you do? How have you navigated through living life without him now?
I think it's still, and this is the part that gets me emotional. It's still really difficult because I see his friends get married and having kids, graduate from college, and I think you talking about like a new normal. Like the page turned when Aaron turned 16, and he said, "I don't want to party. I don't really want to celebrate my birthday." He said, because now I have passed the age that Will was.
Yes. Yeah.
And so from that point on, we really don't celebrate birthdays. And see, Will and Aaron's birthday, Will's birthday was February 2nd. Aaron's birthday was February 3rd. So they used to share, you know, they did everything, all our parties and stuff was together. So for Aaron, we don't have parties. We haven't. He's in Colorado now, so we go out and we visit him. And we just spend time with him. But life really is, you know, I said the last time he went to the hospital, I said to him, I said to my husband, I said to Aaron, we will always be four.
A family of four.
So even though I feel his absence, I feel his presence as well. We operate like four. I think I still, when Aaron's home, I still cook for four. I still, you know, it's like he's here.
Yeah.
You know, his room, we cleaned it out and everything, but there's pictures everywhere of him. We talk about him. We think, wow, you know, and I tell Aaron when he does great things, your brother would be so proud of you.
So proud of you.
And we talk about what he might be doing at this time and what he might say. So we're always trying to conjure him up in our conversations and what we do. But there's no doubt in anybody who has lost anyone will tell you it's just an empty, you know, it's an emptiness that's never filled, but what you do is how you continue on is by filling it up with things that they would have wanted you to do and wanted you, you know, how they would want you to go on. Aaron was a very happy, compassionate person. Because of him, I went back to school. I got my master's in counseling. I started doing therapy. Because of him, you know, the relationships that I started with other people, you know, how active I've been with the church and the community, it was all because of him. So I'm filling that space with things that would remind me of him. You know? And so to me, we're a family of four.
He's still here.
He's still here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We can exhale.
Yes. Take a deep breath.
Thank you so
You
much
are so welcome
for sharing your story. I know this was, you know, coming in and just preparing for this. I appreciate you. I appreciate your transparency. I just appreciate you. If anyone has any questions for April, please go ahead, put them in the comment section. She'll take your questions. But I'll take your question first. If you have a question for me, like we do every night, we always give our guests the opportunity to ask me a question. So do you have any questions you would like to ask me?
No, I think I just want to say to anyone who's tuned in that your relationship with God is very personal. And how you handle loss, whether it's a child or you know, someone else, seek him, Seek his comfort. Allow him and his spirit to dwell in you. Just understand that, it's not easy, and anyone who expects it to be easy for you, that's their issue. And that, I just want to encourage people to have that one-on-one personal relationship, because nobody's going to understand like you understand. No one's going to, even, people I know that have lost children from various reasons. Our losses, we have a similar loss, but the loss is different.
Still different. No one's the same. Not one is the same. Yeah.
So your relationship with God, or, it has to be something that you and he have agreed upon and are working on. It's like any relationship. You got to work on it. He's not going to change. So you better figure it. So you better figure it out. You better figure it out. So,
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Let me read from Karen. There's an African proverb that states that as long as his name is spoken, he yet lives. Whew. Karen, wait to go there. Oh, and it is evident that he is because of the gift of his life deposited into others that continues. Yes, you are 4 and more.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for April? Any questions or comments? If you have any questions or comments, we are going to we're going to close out so I can get myself together.
Yes. Well,
Again,
I enjoy sharing my story, so I appreciate people tuning in to hear it.
Absolutely. So I don't see any questions, so we're going to close out. We will go to Facebook and greet everyone. We will make sure we go and see all your comments and respond. But again, April, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
So as I shared, next week, it's going to be another tough week. My mother's going to be joining me to talk about my brother's passing. So I do invite you to come back. Please bring a friend, especially anyone that's, again, it doesn't matter if it's who it is, loss hurts and we're grieving, and anyone who could use some words of comfort from a loss and its grieving, we just invite you back to join us. But thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.